message that lets you know that we're recording. And I will share my screen. Okay, can everyone see the screen okay? Yes. Okay, thank you. All right, so yes, again, welcome to this afternoon's training on notifications and tasks. Notifications and tasks, it's a newer addition from PowerSchool. This is a PowerSchool enhancement that they have added, allowing districts to create notifications that will be can be configured to go to various users within the district as they see fit. And then tasks is an enhancement, again, for the district or the school or individual users to create tasks and assign those out as needed. So again, we're going to go through that here today. We'll start with notifications. You can use notifications, again, to set up notifications. They're sent out when there are data changes or application events within PowerSchool. So in order for those notifications to be active, you have to first select enable notifications on the notifications page. So let's start by navigating to notifications. So we're going to go system management, data, and then notifications. On our page here, you're going to see we've already created some notifications. If you're coming here for the first time, you would not see any notifications as you or other users within your district, our admin users, are creating notifications. You'll see them displayed here below. But again, if you're coming for the first time, this page will be blank. But right up here, this check mark box, this is where you want to enable notifications. That is where you check mark and save the page, and that is starting the process to get notifications set up within your district. You can create new notifications. You can duplicate already created notifications. We're going to go through both of those here, but just giving you an overview of what you can do within notifications. You have the ability within notifications to notify users of the notifications, whether that be in app or via email. And we'll get a little bit more in detail with that as we go through that. But let's go ahead and take a look here at our landing page. You're going to see, again, your enable notifications, turning it on. And then you'll see this drop-down box here. Once you start creating notifications and setting those up and users in your district are using them, you'll be able to come to this page. And if you have lots of different notifications set up, you can filter to search for specific notifications. If you have lots of notifications set up maybe for courses, and we'll show you how you can tag those notifications as courses, and maybe you want to search for anything, any notification that's been tagged accordingly. You can use that drop down to search for any notifications and then typing in your search bar here. And then over here on the right-hand side, this is where you will create new notifications. And that's what we're going to walk through first. So we're going to go ahead and click Create Notification. And this gives us the page where we're going to enter all of our information for our specified notification that we're creating. So for us, for an example today, we just talked about courses. So what if we wanted a notification that somebody has changed the name, a course name? So we could give that notification a title, a name. So we'll say it's a course name change. And then you can give just a brief description, or you can make it longer if you want. That's up to you. We can say, course name has been changed. Again, however you want your description to be stated. Tags. This is, again, where you can tag a notification. Again, when you're searching through notifications, if you're a larger district and you have lots of them, this may be useful to you so that you could keep all of your specified notifications that are related. They'd be easier to search. So within the tags, we're in courses. So maybe we want to name it course. And if you have already used any tags, as you use them, you will see those in your dropdown. So as you begin to create tags and utilize them, you will see them in your dropdown. If it's a new one, you can see where it'll be. You'll want to create that. And then when you see that tag has been created, you see it added here. So again, just easier to search when you're using tags, but it's not necessary. So that's, again, your preference if you want to use that. So the event is our next section. So the event, there are two different events. There's a data change event and an application event. So with the data change event, it's configuring the notification so it monitors when a certain table or column information has been, whether that's created, updated, deleted, whatever you select it to be. So we're going to, within our notification that we're going through here, this is because it's a course name change, that is a data change. So we are going to select that. But the application event, we can look at that. If we select application event, the difference between the data change and the application event, with application event, that is configuring the notification, and it monitors when there are certain events within the system. And you can see PowerSchool has already predefined these events that you can select from. So again, you can read through the list there: class registration, consecutive absences. There are some that we do want to point out. For example, the enroll new student event change. This notification, you can set this up. It is worth noting that this does not apply to external enrollment or registration programs that you have that sync data into PowerSchool. So this would be a manual student that has been enrolled into PowerSchool. That is what that notification would trigger to be notifying the staff. So not your external enrollment registration systems. You can see student alerts, transferring out of school, and then transferring to another school. Again, so that is what the application events are. And again, for us, with the example that we're going through with the course name change, that is a data change where data within our PowerSchool is changing in one way or another, and that's what we want the notification to trigger on. So with our data change, we are selecting the table. And again, when you select either data change or application event, you'll see your drop downs update accordingly. And so now we can see what table are we looking at, where our data is. For us, we're looking at the courses table. And then within the course, what are we specifically looking for? Well, we wanted to know when the course name has changed. So we're going to pick course name. So again, as you make your selections, if we had selected stored grades, you'll see we have the stored grade options here. So again, it depends on, what data you're looking for and what you want your notification to be set up as. All right, so we'll go back to our course name. And now, when do we want the notification to be sent? Do we want when the data is created, updated, or deleted? So this is, again, up to you as you're creating these notifications. How do you want the notification to work? When a new course is created, that's not really a course name change, so I don't want that to be included in my notification. But if something has been updated or deleted, a course name, I do want that notification to go out. So that is what you're selecting there. specifying the type of change that the PowerSchool should monitor for. And your next section, conditions. The conditions, that will, it's looking at the school. So you're going to add a school condition to restrict either the data change or the event to a specific location, one of your specific buildings. So if we click on our little icon here, you hover over it and it'll tell you it's selecting a school condition to restrict the event to a specified location. You can search within your text bar here, or you can click Advanced School, and this will allow you to select multiple schools. For us, maybe we just want the high schools. We only want to know when the course name has been changed at our high schools. We could select that. So again, this is, again, specifying, narrowing down where you want your notification to be applied to, district-wide or specific buildings. All right. And then you have a place where you can add a condition. So we've got our school condition. Now we can add another condition, and this will fine-tune our notification. So again, we're narrowing it down a little bit to the specifics of who we want to be notified. Conditions can be added to look at the field before the data has been changed or after the data has been changed. If we did an application event instead of a data change, the same would apply. It would be looking at before the application event or after. Again, that would be if you're wanting to use that. Conditions, they can be combined. So you can have multiple conditions if you wanted. So if you want to add, again, to further fine-tune your notification, you click on Add Condition, and then you can see the data value. And this is where you're selecting what you're wanting to look at the data before or after. So if we looked at before our course name, and then we have a comparison, this is where you could, for example, if you were creating a student alert notification and you wanted to know a student alert had been created, a brand new one had been created. So up here, you only selected created for your student alert, and your comparison, you would have before the field, it was empty. You could have that for, again, I'm just using an example. This doesn't apply to our course name. I'm just giving an example of student alert. And then you could even add a condition that after the student alert, it's not empty. So again, this is just a way to fine tune how you want your notification to be triggered. All right. Our next section is our recipients.
Sally, can we go back to that one for a second?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So on your conditions, as Sally said, it's important to know that data change and an application event will give you totally different options. And we'll show you that. Sally will do this one, and then we'll go back and do an application event one, because those options for your data conditions and even your created, update, deleted will look different.
Mm-hmm. And depending on what type of notification you are building, most of the time, and I say most of the time because it depends on what you're creating, but most of the time when you're looking at information that has been updated, you wouldn't really need to add, you would not need to add a condition because you're looking for updated data. So it's looking at whatever the data was already and then anything updated. So that's just kind of a rule of thumb. But again, in those certain situations, you might want to add a condition when you're looking at something that's been updated. All right. So recipients, yes. So now we want to decide who we want the notifications to go out to. You can see you have a selected group. You can select a group here within our dropdown for our course name change. We can select district admins. Again, depending on what type of notification you are creating, you will see different options in your dropdowns. If you were selecting an enrollment, an enrollment notification, you could select the district admin. You would also see teachers of the assigned student, counselors of the assigned student. So when you're working with notifications that are applicable to the students, you see your option, your recipient groups updated accordingly. For course name change, that is not specific to a student. We're looking at the courses table. That is why we see district admin only. But again, your notifications will kind of give you some predefined options within your drop downs. So we can say we want the district admin to receive, the district admin group to receive this notification. We can also specify specific roles. So if there is somebody with a specific role that we want this notification to go to, we can select that role as well. So maybe we do want the principals, anyone with a principal role to receive this notification. We can assign that. This is where we can select a specific PowerSchool SIS administrator or PowerSchool SIS teacher. This is where you selecting them specific by name. So if we wanted to put in Sarah, we can add her. You can start typing, and you can see as you start typing, your list will start populating of PowerSchool administrators. And the same is true for teachers. And then within your recipients, you want to, you have the option to create a shared task and assign to all the selected recipients. So within this notification that we're creating, it's a course name change. Do we want that to create a task for all of these individuals, the district admins, anyone with the principal role, and Sarah? Do we want them all to have a shared task? And maybe we do. So we check mark this box, and that would appear on those users. Their managed profile is where they would access their tasks, and they would see a task that has been shared with all of the others in this group for course name change. Okay, next we're going to go to the notification section. So this is the delivery method. So how do we want the notification to be delivered? So you can click on your drop down and you have in-app and email. So in-app, it'll deliver the notification within PowerSchool, and you would see it on your bell icon on your blue navigation bar up here. Those would appear with a number badge. So there would be a number 1 or number 2, however many notifications a user has. And that would be a red badge on this bell until they open and look at those notifications. So that is the in-app notification. Within the notifications, we have the ability to add information that goes along with this. So course name change, we want to add some more information when that user clicks on that notification. We want them to see more information. And this is where we can add that information. We can give our notification a subject title. So we could again say course name change. And then we can enter a description. Again, this is the information that the users are going to see when they click on that notification. You can say course name has been changed, and maybe we want somebody to verify it. So we could say, please verify. Again, whatever you want your notification to say. You can also add, you'll see there's some HTML here that you can add. You can bold certain items. We wanted course name to kind of stick out a little bit. We can bold it and underline it. We can add bulleted items if we wanted. Again, you have some options here on how you want your notification to look, but you'll see we also have dynamic text. So dynamic text can be added to the message so the information you can see when you click on it, again, depending on what type of event you've selected, what table it's looking at, it's going to populate with some options here for you. We don't see very many options. Again, we're looking at courses. If we had student, you would see all of the student dynamic text like student name, student last first, student last name, student first name, so on and so forth. You would see all of that dynamic text option. For us, maybe we want to see the old value. So again, we're looking at a change in data. We want to know what was the course before it was changed. So we can even type that. So previous name, and then we've got the old value that's going to be populated. And now we could say the new name, and using that dynamic text, we can then the new value. So again, very nice to be able to see the information, add that dynamic text there, especially if you're looking at maybe what something was and what it is now. If you're creating a notification that is something that is brand new, probably you wouldn't have an old value because it's a brand new item. But again, it gives you the options to kind of cater this to look like how you want the user to receive the notification. Before I go on to the add link, for the email option, that is if you have emails set up within your PowerSchool to be delivered, but you should, just to note, when you do use the email option, identifiable information won't be transferred in through the email. So some of that dynamic text, when we're talking about student name, student, information, student number, that information wouldn't be relayed via an email. So that's just important to note. All right, add a link. So you can add a link to your message and to the notification so that when the user clicks on that bell icon, they will see a link that will take them to somewhere in PowerSchool. That link can have text. So if we just want to say, for us, course, maybe we just want it to say course. But again, you can name it whatever you want to name it. And then this is where you put in your URL. What is handy, I believe in one of the Jason Springle episodes that he has put on the Insider, he suggests having 2 tabs open. If you were wanting to see maybe to a student page, you wanted your link to go to the quick lookup page, you could go to your quick lookup page and you can copy your URL all the way to the question mark. So it's everything, your admin to your question mark. And again, this is a student example we're looking at. We're going to go to the quick lookup page. So you could put that right there. When you're using like student and staff pages, like I just had Brandon here, you'll see I didn't copy that FRN equals and the number. That is that FRN file reference number, I think is the name, what it stands for, but that's specific. That number changes for every student or staff that you're on. That number is not the same. So when you are going to a student page, like the quick lookup page, and you have put your link in here, this is where you would want to see where it's at. You would add the student FRN. I'm copying it right here. I thought there was a box to select it over here, but I'm not seeing it, so I'm just going to copy and paste. you would put FRN equals and then students FRN. So this is where, again, that dynamic text is going to pull the student FRN number. And I can tell you now that I'm talking about it, I know why it's not showing right here, because again, we're doing a course name change or a course data change that has nothing to do with the student table. So there's not a dynamic text, a go-to here. So that's why. But if you're creating, again, a student alert or an enrollment notification, that is where you would see that dynamic text off to the side here, where you could select this dynamic text for your URL. There is also an option when you're using URLs to add the ampersand and then GS. So and GS equals true. What this does, this and GS equals true. When you add this after that FRN, this will keep the link from affecting your current student or staff selection. So if I'm on this student page and I receive a notification, I'm going to leave that here for a minute, and I click on it and I click on the link, and it's going to take me to another student that I've been notified about, it's not going to affect Brandon's page that I'm on here. So it will preserve all of your students that you have by adding that and GS equals true. So you'll be able to look at the notification that's taking you elsewhere and then come back to your selection of students. And then there's again, an additional notification, again, sending a corresponding email if you would like, yes or no, if you want to use that, or each user has the ability within their managed profile to turn on or off or select whether they want to receive emails. So you can say based on their preference, or you can select yes or no. I'll select no, we don't have email set up. And then task assignment. So earlier we said that we wanted the recipients to have a shared task with this notification that we've created. So again, we have our appending dynamic text that we can add to this, whatever we want it to say. We can give it a name and then a description. And then you can even enter a due date. So you can see here, you're entering the number of days after the notification the task will be due. So if we want the task to be completed within 10 days of the notification, we would put 10 there. And do we want to set a reminder? We can check mark that box, and you can see this option appears once we check mark it, that we want to send a reminder notification. So this is if it's not been flagged as completed, the task hasn't been completed yet, this will send a reminder maybe 2 days before the due date. And again, how do we want that reminder to go out? In-app email or in-app and email, your preference. And now that we've gone through all of the setup, we can save and activate, or cancel. We don't want to cancel, we've entered everything, but if we select save, that saves our notification, but it is not automatically enabled. Even though we check mark the box to enable notifications, when you create a new one, you have to activate it. So you could save it, come back to it later, make some edits, some changes if you wanted. But once you're all done and ready, you can click save and activate, which will automatically start that notification working and being delivered. And you can see once you are creating a notification, it does take a little bit of time to save all of the information that you've entered. And then you'll see now our new notification is right up here, and we see that it is active. So now looking again at our notifications that we have already created, we see again their name, their description. Clicking on this will open that notification. We have the tags that we've associated our notifications with, or that we've created for our notifications. And are they active? We can uncheck any notifications at any time. Again, it takes a few minutes to update, but you can come and inactivate any notifications as you see fit within your district by unchecking. And then we have an action column on the far right with the 3 ellipses. We can get more details. When we click on that, we see the slide out drawer that gives us just a basic overview of what we have selected, our name, our description, the event type, all of the recipients, all of that information on the slide out will appear here. We also, on our actions, we're able to edit, duplicate, and or delete altogether. We would, suggest as you're building and creating notifications, if you don't want to use them, you may want to inactivate them before you automatically delete them. You may find later on, or maybe even next school year, it might be something you want to use. Again, that's up to you within your districts. But if it is something that was maybe created in error or just is not ever going to be used, you can delete it by clicking on the delete, the trash can. With duplicate, you can create a duplicate alert. One of the examples is the stored grade change here we have. If we look at this notification that we set up, again, you can click on the name of the notification like I just did, or on that right-hand side, that 3 ellipsis, you can click on that to click and edit an alert, notification. Looking at this notification. So this is a stored grade change notification that we set up, and we want certain recipients to be notified anytime a stored grade has been changed. This might be something that within your districts you might find useful, that there are certain people, counselors or principals, somebody needs to be notified when stored grades has been changed. And you can see we gave a tag for it. This is a data change. We're looking at the stored grades table. We're looking at the grade, and we want to know when it's been updated just at the high school. Going down our recipients list, again, this is where we're looking at student information. So we see our groups and our access roles are going to be our groups are going to have some different options than the one we looked at with courses. So you have the option, all of the teachers of the affected student, the counselors of the affected student, district admin, and then the teachers of the affected sections. So again, you can select one or more than one as you need within your notification. Sorry, lost my train of thought within your notification. And then you see their access roles. Again, you can add if there's an additional person. Again, if you want the principal to maybe be notified, all of those things that we can see. So for this stored grade change, we have our dynamic text where we're looking at the grade change for the student first name, their last name, and we are able to even add a timestamp. So again, this might be helpful within your districts. You want to know when that data was changed. You can add that dynamic text of timestamp. With the student information, again, you'll see a lot more options within your dynamic text of what you want to appear on your notification. Event timestamp, again, that might be a big one, an important one that you want to see on your notification, and your old value and your new value. You can also see changed by name. So not only do you want to know when it was changed, but you could add by who, by, and then add that dynamic text of who made the grade changed by, and it'll put their name. So this is taking us to our historical grades page. We want, when this notification is delivered, we want the notification to include a link to the student's historical grades page. That's where their stored grade information is. So again, you'll see we have our URL and we're using that FRN again, and we're putting in the student's FRN. And then again, here's our notification, our task assignment. So again, with students, here's our dynamic text that we can add to verify the grade change for the student. Maybe that's a task. So not only does the notification go out, but maybe again, somebody needs to verify it and you want that information in your task and you have your due date. So I'm going to cancel this. So that is what we looked at for this stored grade change. That is looking at the grade. Well, maybe we want to have a notification where the percent is changed. So maybe the grade goes from a 96 to a 97. Well, it's still an A, so that grade change, there hasn't been a grade stored grade change because it's still an A, but maybe we want a notification that looks at the percent change. Notifications like stored grades, you are setting that data change for one specific change. So this is looking at the grade. We can click on our ellipsis and we can duplicate this alert, and we could say copy. It's going to say copy, but we can take that out and we can put instead of stored grade change, we could maybe put stored percent change and then duplicate it. So now we see we have a stored percent grade, but because we duplicated it, we want to now go in and edit it. We want to change it. Otherwise, it is a duplicate of what we just duplicated. So we are going to change our data that is being looked at for this notification. So again, we're looking at our stored grades, and instead of grade, we're going to select percent. So we select percent and the same, we want the same information. We want to be updated. We're going to same user groups maybe, or you could change it if you had different recipients that you wanted to see the percent. Maybe somebody needs to see the grades and another group of recipients needs to see the percent. Again, that's up to you as you create them. But if everything else is going to be the same, that's what our old value, new value. Again, it up here, we specified our data to look at percent. So it's going to know what it's looking at with the old value and the new value. And again, we're going to save and activate this. It's going to take a few moments and we'll see it displayed there on our notifications page. So that might be a good example maybe of a time where you want to duplicate a notification that you have already created and you just want to tweak it a little bit. Are there questions so far on how to create a notification?
So Sally, could we go through creating one that not a data event, but an application event, just so they can see the difference?
Let's see, before we give it a name, let's pick. Do we have a preference here?
I actually did one called you could do drop class registration.
Okay. All right, so let's give it a name. Just drop class. Drop class. Again, you're putting in your name and description as you see fit. And you can edit these as you create them. You've seen how we've opened and edited them, so you can do that. Again, where you can add your tags. So we've got an application event, we're drop class registration. So again, who do we want what buildings do we want? Do we want it at all the schools, or would we rather just one specific building or 5 specific buildings? Again, we'll just pick one for our example, but you can see where you can select as many as you need. And then adding an event. So you can see here how, again, our information, our drop downs are going to be predefined based on what we have selected. So for us, our drop class registration event. So what do we want to look at? So maybe the date enrolled. Again, you can whatever, or maybe date left. Sorry,
yeah, date left is probably okay.
Yep. So date left is maybe less than, and then here you could put what is the end date of that class registration. If it's May 1st, you would want anything less than May 1st, and you can see the value here. It gives you an example of how you're wanting to enter that information. So we're doing 2025, we'll do May. So anything before, not that anyone's out of school on May 1st, but that would be nice. But maybe, again, you can put the end date for your class registration here.
You could do date enrolled after a certain date, but notice you no longer have that created, update, delete option. It's totally different.
Yeah, and like Sarah said, you can add conditions. You can add as many conditions as you need to filter your notifications. So maybe we only want to know at the beginning of the year, especially in high schools, within the first couple of weeks, students drop classes as they're figuring out their schedules and things. So maybe we don't want anyone, included, enrolled, greater than, we could say, maybe September. Again, depending on your registration dates for your courses or your classes here. We could say maybe by September 30th, everybody's pretty well set. So again, you can add conditions as you need. And then the next, again, all of the teachers of the student, the counselors of the student, usually counselors are pretty, they need to know things, students moving around, and then maybe the teachers of the affected sections. Maybe that's a good one as well, that they need to be receiving this notification. And then again, maybe our principal needs to know. We can add additional administrators, teachers, and then a task if we wanted to. This you can see when you check mark that is where the task assignment appears. If you don't want a task with a notification, you won't see that bottom section. It appears once you click that check mark box. And then we want the notification to come in the app. This was student. And then again, adding the information in our dynamic text. So we can say what we want to add here, date enrolled, date left. And again, you can, this would all be scrunched together so you can, put some spaces in, add some returns here. Again, how you want your data to appear, bold, italicize, all of those options, how to make it look within the notification. And then again, adding that text or a link if you want to go to a specific page, and then the text for that link if you want, and then any additional notifications. And on this one, if we just click save, you can see it goes quicker as it's not activating. When you say save and activate, that's when it takes a few moments to get it going. But you can see our dropped class, and you see it is not active yet. Questions about either data change, application, event?
So Sally, go back, just it doesn't matter, just click on one to edit. And then under recipients, and I put this in the chat, but just in case it's not clear, going down to
recipients. There we go.
Yeah. And then click on use your access roles. Notice how some things say role and some things say task. PowerSchool last year, maybe even 2 years ago, but I think last year's when we really started noticing it. When they created in the past, when we created a role, it was called role. Now, if you go look at your user roles, you'll see some of those might be called task, or if they made a new one. It's just a change in terminology. It means exactly the same thing. I think what's confusing here is that we're talking about task and notifications, and this is task. It's something totally different. It's just the label for the user role. So just in case that was confusing.
No, that's 100% could be confusing. Yes. So
Yeah.
Thank you. Yep.
We do have some questions in the chat.
Okay. I don't have it open.
I have it open.
Oh, perfect.
Is it possible to do a notification when a student reaches a certain number of attendance codes? For example, 3 religious holidays.
So let's see. I don't think attendance is one that we are able to look at. I know that one of the questions that was on one of Jason Springle's videos was custom pages and custom data and things. That functionality, obviously, we can see is not built in right now. He did not say that it like officially would be coming or would even be coming and putting a date to it, but it is something I think that they're looking at. Is that your understanding, Sarah?
Yes, and if you notice at every one of our district leader meetings, like the last 3, they have added something to task and notifications every time. So it truly is a work in progress at this point. They're continuing to add things to it. We don't, they don't tell us in advance what those things are. So we kind of find out when we get the release notes, but I know that they are working on some more things.
Specific to the religious holidays, student missing 3 religious holidays, maybe we could make note of that and we could take a look at that later, maybe for an alert within the alert builder. That might be something that we could look at. So that would be not a notification within the notifications on the bell, but if that's something that they're looking at, maybe we could help out with an option that way.
Yeah, that was going to be my suggestion too, Sally. That's a good thing just to, with our alert builder, you have the option of doing a lot of stuff that maybe is not built in yet to task and notifications. Okay, so we have some more questions, and Christy, I'll get back. I'm going to circle back to yours kind of at the end of some of these other ones. If all buildings are chosen, as with new student enrollment, does this notify everyone within the district with that role?
So yes, so create the notification. So if all buildings are, let me pick here. I'm sorry, application event. And if it's an enroll student, try that again, application event. Your condition is students at what schools are being affected. So if you're selecting all schools, then all recipients with that group or role at all of those buildings, yes, would receive the notification.
And notice if you click on advanced school selection, if you click on that school name box at the top to select all of them and then apply it, it doesn't give you each school. It just tells you you've selected 32. I think if I select 6 schools, it's going to tell me I have 6. If you do 3 or 4, it's probably going to list those schools. And that includes co-teachers as well, right? If it says all teachers, I'm assuming, or all teachers for that section, I would assume it would include the co-teachers. It's not something we've tested.
We haven't tested, but I think that, yes, I think it does include co-teachers, but we can take a look at that.
I
But with
see
this,
incident. Oh, I'm
go ahead.
sorry. No, go
No,
ahead, Sally.
I was just going to say this condition here is looking at the condition for the event and then your recipients of who is within that condition, if that helps explain it. But
So I think Jen had two questions, but I think the last one applies to what we're talking about now. So it
okay.
doesn't navigate based on the building that the student is assigned to.
So that I think maybe there, are you referring to like the URL link? So the person clicking that link would need to have access to that building. So within that group that you're picking, they would have access to that building, within that role, access to that building. I think that's what they're referring to.
Is that right, Jen? And you can unmute and ask that question, or, if you want to clarify, that's fine. And while we're waiting to see if Jen answers that, her other question was, I see incidents in the table list. Is that log entry an option?
So that, go ahead.
I'm assuming incidents means the PowerSchool incidents, and they are not talking about log entry. But
Correct.
again, I
It
have
is.
not tested that, but usually any place PowerSchool specifically says incidents, they're talking about their incident program, which of course we don't use because of our state reporting doesn't interface with it.
That
And I see,
it is, yeah, incident management is what it's referring to.
yeah, oh, so she can't unmute, but she's saying, um, she's typing here for us. And there's a new enrollment that belongs to French Run also show up at Summit. So I'm assuming if you're saying you've given it to that notification to the district administrator group, for example, would they all see that?
I believe the answer, yes, if everyone within the district admin group, yeah, I believe, but we can double check, we can test that and double check, but I thought that we had looked at that and yes.
But if you had a principals group that only had access to French Run, the Summit people, I do not believe would see that. Is that what you think, Sally?
Yeah, I agree with you. Correct. If they were specific, if that role was specific for that building, correct.
And then here's another one. I don't want to interrupt the flow of the presentation, but later, can you please clarify how we can confirm if emails are set up for these notifications? So when you said that for the email to be sent, they have to be set up.
Yes. So let's see. So that would be, so for the email, so that would be for notifications that wouldn't require logging into PowerSchool. So getting it via your email. You're not in PowerSchool looking at the notification. That email, let's see if I can see where that needs to be set up. I can get info on where that setup needs to take place and get that to them if you have which school that goes to.
And I kind of think that means you go to your email configuration, just like, you have to be set up. Your email configuration has to be set up to allow external emails to be sent. I haven't looked at that at all, but I believe that's probably what that's talking about.
we can get some more information to them. Mm-hmm.
And I think that is all of the questions.
Okay. All right. Well, now, so we looked at our notifications page, how we can create some notifications, and you can see we've been playing with this here today and earlier. You can see this is what it looks like when there is a notification, that red number badge right there on your blue navigation bar. When you click on that, this is where you will see your notifications and notifications that have tasks assigned. You can see that here. If we look at first, this was from back in September. This was a stored grade change that we had. You can see our drop down here that will give us additional information. So when you open your notification slide out, you'll see if you are somebody who is receiving lots of notifications, you get just kind of a glimpse, and then you can always click on that drop down to see more information. You also have actions here on the right-hand side, those ellipses. You can delete your notifications. You can mark it as not important, or you can mark as unread. So you can see this one is important. It's a stored grade change. Maybe I want to mark it as unread. I've already looked at it back in September, but if I select marked unread, you see that little blue dot right there.
And Sally, I have to apologize. I believe I messed that one up for you. I went in to edit that and I changed the September date to today.
Okay.
Which is why it's probably showing up in your list. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. But so here, when we click on it, we can see this is again taking a look at that dynamic text that we put in. You can see that old value, the new value, telling us the student name and on the date that this happened. And if we had updated the notification today to say who changed it, but this is the one from September that doesn't have who, but if you did select that on your notification, this is where you would see who made the change. We can see that there's a task assigned to or associated with this notification. And then we see that go to the student's historical course grade. So this is one that we had created previously. But when I click on that, you'll see it opens up and I'm here on the historical grades page for Brandon. And then the task assigned, I can click on that and open in a new tab. And this is where I will see my tasks. And I can see those here. And this is the one that I have listed. So that is what it will look like when you see those notifications.
And that task assigned, she's just showing you, is one that I created and assigned to her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do it, so I'm giving it to Sally.
Mm-hmm. And you have a search bar here at the top. Again, if you're someone within your district that you are receiving lots of notifications, you have them displayed here, and you can search for them. There are a couple things with the notifications here. So notifications that are marked as important, they will be removed after 90 days. And then read notifications. So anything that I have read, I've opened it up and I've read it, those will be deleted after 30 days. So just to let you know, that's a newer addition to the notifications as well. When it first came out, they didn't have that. So that's a little bit newer. All right, so if you within your district, you want to configure how your tasks and notifications are when they're getting sent out, and you can navigate to, and this was, Sarah is updating some of the documentation because if you look in PowerSchool help, it's going to take you to a different location. So we're here to tell you where you need to go. You're going to want to go to your notifications and tasks setup page. And looking, I can't, so let's use our search bar. We go to our, there it is, district management. District management, district setup, notifications, and task setup. In PowerSchool, I believe it'll direct you to additional system preferences. That's where it was originally. It's been moved, notifications and tasks setup.
They have not updated their documentation. Plus, we think our documentation is more detailed. So that will be out. We'll have that out on the meta documentation site by Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Or
so
sooner,
here,
but
yes. Your general settings, your daily processing time, you can see defaulted to 1 a.m., but you can click on your clock icon here to select a time. And again, this daily processing time, you can see as I hovered over the little question mark, it's the automatic processes, such as archiving tasks will run at this time. So again, we just mentioned that those notifications that have been read and the ones that are marked as important, they will be removed after 90 days, but read notifications will be removed after 30 days. And that would happen at this time, 1 a.m. But you can change it if you want. And then there's a check mark to skip daily processing on weekends. Here are your notification options for the district. Do you want to hide the in-app notifications in PowerSchool admin and then hide in-app notifications for PowerSchool teacher? So if you're hiding them, they're not going to see them. So I think the purpose of notifications is for certain users to see them, but maybe you have a specific, maybe you don't want the teachers to see them. Again, that would be up to your district. And the same options. Go ahead.
So what that means is on that little, on the navigation bar where the bell is, you won't get a number there. It just, the notification still gets sent out though. If you have chosen to have your notifications sent by email and in app, they will still get those. They'll still be sent out. They just will not show on that navigation bar. And as Sally said, isn't that's kind of the whole idea of having notifications, and so they can easily see them. So think about that when you're choosing to hide that.
Same with tasks. At the district level, you can decide for your district if you want to hide my tasks page in PowerSchool. And then you have your completion task status. So at least one task status must indicate the task is complete. So again, you have your options: not started, in progress, or completed. And then your scheduling, go ahead.
And that the completion task status comes from your code sets. So you could go to code sets at the district level, and you could go to, I think it's under task status, and add something if you wanted something other than not started, in progress, and completed, but you have to at least have completed. You cannot have, nothing for completed.
And we'll look at tasks next. You, like Sarah said, so these are the 3 that are options, but you can add more.
Yeah, and that's all in your code sets.
And then you have some scheduling, automatic archive of completed tasks, 30 days after completion, and then deletion of archives. So again, after scheduling the archive of those notifications, you can adjust as needed.
And I did change that to 180. I don't know though for a fact that they'll, even though I can change it to a different number, if they will still let you go beyond that 90 days. I mean, that's something they came out with that said 30 and 90.
Yeah.
I just put that in there so we could test it.
All right, so that is your notifications and task setup. So notifications are at the district level. You're creating those events and recipients, and all of that is being done at the building level. With tasks, tasks can be created. You saw we had notifications that we assigned tasks along with the notification. You can also, at the school level, you can create tasks as needed. So if we're at the school and we're going to go to task management, this also was changed. So it's people, staff, task management is where you'll find. You'll also find this at the district office. So not only at the district office, you create the notifications and you can assign tasks with those notifications. You can also create specific tasks at the notification, at the district level. At the building level, you can create tasks. So you can see we have some example ones in here. If there are certain things that need to be done by certain user groups, you can assign them a task. And similar to your notifications page, you'll see all of the tasks that have been created here at our building level. You can see where we can, if we're at the district level, we can filter. You can see how we're at the high school. So this is what we're looking at. But we could look at the other when at the district office. So looking at these tasks that we have, we can see again the name of them, the description, who they've been assigned to. When there is a shared task, you'll see the little share icon here. So you can see this is a task that has been shared to multiple people. And then due dates, anything that is past its due date, you'll see it's here in red with the exclamation point letting you know it's past due. And then the status of the task. Again, Sarah mentioned those statuses, not started, in progress, and completed. Those, if you wanted to add more from code sets, you would, and you would see those here. Our action buttons where we can edit, we can archive a task, and we can delete a task. You can see up here at the top, we're defaulted to our active tasks. We can click on archive tasks, and this is where we would see any tasks that have been archived. Going back to our active tasks. So if we look at those, if we, again, we want to edit and take a look at that, it pulls out that slide out drawer here on the right-hand side and gives us a summary of what that task contains. So we've got back to school forms. That's the name of it, the description, collecting back to school forms. We've got a due date, what the progress is, who it's assigned to, and then any reminders. So you can see here on this slide out, we can actually make some changes and edits right here on the slide out. As we click to change things, we see the save button appears. So we can make those changes and save it right from that slide out. You'll notice here, notifications, you can click on the name to edit it. That is not how it works in tasks. You have to click that edit, and that's where the edits take place. And if you wanted to create a new task, so if we click on create, again, this is the slide out we just looked at. You're going to give it a name, field trip permission slip. And the description, collect field trip permission slips. We want that to be due maybe not until the students return from break. Maybe we're giving them, it's not until a spring field trip. So we've given it a name, a description, a due date, and you can see here the assignment. And we can, that's where all of these drop downs are collapsing your fields here. Who do we have it assigned to? So we don't see anyone yet. This is where we're assigning an individual or a group of people. If we select group, that is where we see our user roles. Who do we want that to go to? So we can, and anyone who has any of these user roles. So maybe the office staff are the ones collecting these permission slips. Notifications. So do we want notifications to go to them? In-app, email, in-app, and email. And then reminders. Do we want a reminder? So we said the due date was here. So maybe we want a 15-day reminder before break. And it tells you here, well, that's going to go on December 22nd. Well, that's not before break. We'll still be on break. So I can change that here and say, maybe I'll add it and I'll get it Tuesday before they leave for break. So that's nice that that date's right there. And you can have a second reminder. So maybe 2 days before, go 4 days before. Maybe we're back on the 2nd and quick turnaround. So you can have a couple of reminders here. And then again, this is the reminder. How do you want the reminder to be sent? In-app, email, or in-app and email. And we can save that. And now we see that is listed here. So this is tasks that you're creating. Again, this can be done at the district office or at specific buildings. Users can create their own tasks. So within each user, if you click on your initials, not manage profile, go to my tasks right below it. You will see tasks that have been assigned to you, and then you can create your own task. So if you needed to do something, you needed to look, enroll students in student programs, and you had 2 weeks to do that, you could give yourself a task, and that would be for you to monitor, and you could name, description, again, due date, all of those things. So each user can create their own tasks as well. And again, on the user task, they see their active tasks, and they can see archive tasks as well. Any questions about tasks? Sarah, did I miss anything about tasks?
I don't think so. I think you covered it.
I think this is, go ahead.
I was just looking at, it's looking for any more questions. I don't see any.
I think
other than Jen and I are still talking here in the chat. So
okay.
Think about how your security is set up. Like, I am an office secretary at French Run. My school setup is French Run. It's not Summit. So I am never going to see Summit stuff. So it's going back and looking at all of your security settings before it does anything else. I mean, that's all built into PowerSchool. So even though I made a notification and I said, I want to know when a kid is dropped a class, it's only going to show me that information from my school, even though I've selected all the schools. I'm just saying that the French Run people can see it and the Summit people can see it. If I chose only French Run, they would be the only ones who ever got a notification. If I'm choosing only my high schools, my elementaries are never going to get that notification. So it's all looking at just like so many other things in PowerSchool, it looks at your security in the background. So I hope, Jen, that answered that question. If it didn't, then let me know.
All right, I can go ahead and I'll stop the recording, and we can hang on for a few minutes for questions. But thank you, everyone, for attending. We're glad that you were here today and hopefully found some tips and tricks. I think notifications is a great enhancement. I'm glad PowerSchool decided to add that. It's definitely helpful to know certainly when things are happening within your environment to have the appropriate people be notified. So Looking
And
forward to it.
also, just remember, this is a work in progress, or they're constantly adding to it. I expect them to add more things to it. And as those come out, those are the things that we tell you about in at the district leader meetings when we talk about the release notes. And we'll let you know when we know. And then also look for the new documentation. I noticed as Sally was going through the presentation, a couple things I forgot to put in there, or honestly didn't know to put in there. So as soon as that gets updated, we'll put that out. But like I said, hopefully sooner rather than later, but definitely we'll try to have it done by Monday at the latest. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, everyone.